Oversight Committee released several recommendations for improvement after a 2-year investigation into the Department of Health and Human Services child welfare system.
Representatives from the committee say the investigation uncovered poor management and oversight by DHHS, a lack of support offered to caseworkers, foster families, and a lack of resources for the children in state custody. According to a 2023 study, Maine leads the country as the state with the highest rate of child maltreatment. State leaders are calling for change as organizations that advocate for children say the system is failing youth.
The priority has to be place that child where that child is the safest.
There's no services or outreach by the department. There's not enough supervision, if you will, of parents who need help or should not be parents. Okay, so there's a real mismatch in the whole system.
Now, on Tuesday, I sat down with Governor Janet Mills and outgoing DHHS Commissioner Jean Lambrou. They said they have been working on raising pay for co-workers, creating more support teams around them, restructuring their workloads, and filling vacant positions. The department's also working on a campaign to reach out to parents to prevent DHHS involvement in the first place. Commissioner Lambrou also said that if someone can prove the benefits of moving the Child Welfare Office out of DHHS, they would be open to it.
And like the vault is free.
All right, everybody, welcome to the State of Maine Family Matters, Maine Investigating DHHS. I'm your host, the CPS Punisher, and we're going to do this show every Saturday at 2 o'clock. We got some very special guests here today. Hopefully they'll be joining me from this time in the interim on in. But let me get these people out here right now. We're going to have the chat up here in a second for you guys. But this is, guys, this is about Maine and what's going on in Maine. All things Maine right here. So stay tuned because you guys, it's going to blow your mind when you guys hear what's going on here. But I'm going to bring out the man Vinny and my good friend Dana, the Angry Citizen. Gentlemen, how are we doing on this Saturday afternoon?
Doing good, Darren.
Hey, Derek. Good to see you always, brother.
Mm-hmm. So what'd you think of that video? Highest in the nation for abuse and neglect.
Not surprised at all.
I'm not either.
Because you think that that's an odd number?
That's a way odd number. It's they're trying to get more and more parents for all kinds of stuff up here. There's been posts on social media, posts on the news channels, and it goes on. Like there's even cases out of Maine on here, right on YouTube, and it blows my mind because the one case is you'd have to watch the whole thing, but it will blow your mind.
You think about the number of children that are abused, neglected, etc. in Maine, and there's unfortunately very high number. And then think about the ones that died. Last year, believe it was, there were 2 children in Maine that were literally beaten to death. Both cases had our so-called DHS, Department of Human Services, aware that there were complaints and concerns and didn't manage to intervene in any way. And I'm not suggesting they have authority to do that. We talked about that a little bit before. I'm not going to go off into that weed right now, but assuming they did have authority and they could have intervened and they might have done something to protect those children, they didn't. And yet somehow they have time to come after people like the 2 of you and slash kidnap them. And folks, make no mistake, that is what is being done. If an agent comes into your home and takes your child away from you, that is kidnapping. Prove me wrong.
You know about, I think you were referring to the 11-year-old boy that died in the hospital from his 2 parents and his grandmother.
I'm thinking, I'll have to look, I'll Google them and fill you in, but there were 2 cases I'm aware of recently.
That was the recent.
A child was literally beaten to death by his own parents.
Yeah, and his grandmother.
Yes, that's one of them.
To a pair. Yep.
All right, but see, here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. They're not going to go after those kids. How many times were those people called? How many times did DHHS get called on those families?
Yes.
30,
you want to know the
50?
secret behind that?
There's no secret, man. They're not going to get damaged goods. There's no damaged goods to be had.
What's the secret, Vinny? Tell us.
The secret behind that is the mother used to work for CPS. She was a caseworker.
No kidding.
No kidding. I actually met the husband in Cumberland County Jail and walked around with him and talked to him, and I was listening to his case, and then all of a sudden when I got out, it showed up on the news and I knew exactly who it was. But he wouldn't tell me his entire story either. So when I actually saw and read the story,
tragic.
It blew my goddamn mind.
Yeah, tragic. It's so horrible. So
it just shows how well they have these
people, right? Our DHS, as you both know, I maintain first and foremost and steadfastly that do not have authority. Don't ever accept that they have the authority to kidnap your child. And by the way, America, stop using the enemy's terminology. They didn't take your child; they kidnapped your child.
Yep.
Kidnapping is a crime. Unless they can prove they have the lawful authority to do it, they don't. It's kidnapping. And all of us getting together and demanding that they be held accountable, we will see it happen. And in those rare cases when a child is under really serious threat, then we do owe it to get involved as a community. But you can't just send people in, steal the child, and say, we're going to put them in a better home, especially when, A, they don't, right? How many times have we heard of children being kidnapped, aka taken by DHS, that are then put into a harmful, immediately harmful, potentially lethal environment, right? Even if they could make a case that they have the authority, which they don't, and that there is a need, which there mostly isn't, then they take the child and put them into a harmful circumstance. It's an abomination.
Their vetting process, it's vile. And then the thing is your kids don't get to come home. See, this is what I hate when people are like, oh, my kid's in foster care, they're being abused. You get that all the time. It's happening all the time. But just because that's happening, your kid still doesn't get to come home. That doesn't go back to you. It doesn't make that happen. So you need to stay focused, people. When you get these things that are happening, as much as it sucks, you got to stay focused on stay the course, stay in your lane. because it's all that is sometimes it's even a derivative that make you not pay attention to what you're doing so that they can TPR you. So be aware, you know, like when this is happening, you got to stay your case, you got to stay your lane, because there's nothing you can do at that point as a parent for your child. The only thing
Never
you can
grant
do
them
is
authority.
pay attention and come home.
Never concede authority. Never allow them to do anything. They're going to threaten you. We're going to come search your house. No, you're not. Well, we could get a warrant. Get a fucking warrant. Excuse my French. Go ahead, do it. Okay? And tell them I'm a constitutional American, and the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and all laws that are repugnant to it are null and void, and watch them take a step back when you say that. Watch them take a step back. The most important thing you can do is look them right in the fucking eye, excuse my French, and say, you have no authority to kidnap my child.
That's it. There's just no, they have no warrants. They never do. And the thing is that they allow them to rubber stamp in the state of Maine. So all these caseworkers do is go in and get the file, the paperwork, they hand it, they sign it, and then it's off to the races they go. These judges don't even hear the cases against these kids because they want to wash their hands of it too. They don't want that, you know, they don't want that on their hands. So they just give it to these caseworkers. So these caseworkers are given a badge of God, and it's not right at all. They're young, they're inexperienced, they don't have kids themselves. How the hell can you have someone teach you about being a parent or scold you for being a parent if they're not a parent themselves? How does that happen?
Valid. Yeah, very valid. So I think that bringing awareness is the most important step, and I think you're doing that, Darren, and I applaud your efforts for that. You know, Darren and I have been friends a while, and, you know, we've had a few conflicts, butting of the heads, but somehow managed to settle that, come through it, and still be friends. So, and I've always applauded his cause and applauded what he's doing, and as a father and a grandfather, it absolutely infuriates me that any so-called agent would think they have any kind of authority to come into someone's house and steal that child, kidnap that child, and especially in a circumstance where the person that is being affronted, the parent, has been convicted of no crime whatsoever. It is an abomination. All of us should stand together against that. I can't imagine anybody thinking that's a good idea.
How are you given the civil death penalty, if you will, and never ever convicted of a crime? My buddy that's sitting right there next to me, he has no crime committed, no charges, no nothing. Me, no charges of abuse and neglect from the police. So how are you charging me with abuse and neglect? Never ever has there been handcuffs on my hand saying that I abused or I neglected my child, which I didn't ever. It was all
those are crimes, right? You've committed crime. You've abused your child. It's a crime. You've assaulted a child. Something that's a specific crime has to be brought against you. They have to charge you. They have to prove that you've done it. We as constitutional Americans have to stand on this hill together, because your rights are mine. His rights are mine. Your rights are mine. That's why I'm here with you. I've never had CPS come visit me. God help them if they did, but I've never had it. I've never had, anything, a child of mine threatened to be stolen or stolen from me. And again, God help them if they did. But, if I watch you guys have this happen to you, then it could happen to me. So hell no.
But don't you agree? Why aren't we being charged with crimes?
Because
if our errors are so strong that they could break your family apart and steal your child, why is it that we are not being charged in the criminal courts for this stuff?
Valid question.
Because there is no crime. I mean, that's one to think on right there. We've done nothing wrong for them to take our children from us.
Amen. So here we stand, and the question is, how do we move forward? And also, Vinny, you and I just literally met, and I don't know if you've done much in terms of being on here with Darren, but I think it's important for you to tell your story a little bit. And I want to hear it too.
Saturday night, Vinny's night.
Yep, I'm on every Saturday night from 7:30 to 8:30.
Nice. All right. Well, I'll go back and check some of that, and it always breaks my heart, but I feel like I need to. I can't just turn a blind eye. I can't just, as a father and a grandfather, I can't just not hear these stories because they're uncomfortable for me to hear. And they are. Every time I get very, very angry and I want to throw things, and occasionally I just want to shoot my computer. I swear to God.
The only thing in my case that I can't talk about is I can't talk about the criminal side of the case right now.
Fair.
Do you guys see this comment up here by Ruth?
I can talk about like the CPS side and what they've done on that side. But as far as when it comes to the criminal side, I'm not allowed to speak on it because they silenced me on it.
And why would they do that?
Fair.
Because they don't, even my attorney on the CPS side says they don't like me speaking out about them.
Because the devil hates the truth. Because the devil hates the truth. Why? Because the truth is the sword of God, and that's the first thing they always tell you. Shh. Shh.
I mean, I'm right there with you because I was brought up in a Christian home all my life.
Wow, Ruth,
sword of God, I'm telling you. Watch what happens when you speak the truth. When you tell your story and you look people right in the freaking eye and say, this is what happened to me. Here is my factual recounting of the events that happened to me. And you see the look in their eye, man. They know you're telling the truth and they feel it. The truth is the sword of God. So yeah, the devil always wants you to shut up. The ministry of propaganda is always right there on top of us, making sure our message is not heard, or at least heard by as few people as possible, because they fear more than anything that we will all unite on this cause, which we're just about to do. We're about this close, boys.
We're getting closer every day.
Oh yeah, believe me, I feel it every day. I'm getting more connections.
That's because the truth is coming out.
The truth
is here. That
will be heard.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if you heard about this in any of you guys or heard this or not, but on one of the news posts with Diamond, one of the people in the group posted under that in Lewiston, everyone that was on her case was removed.
I mean, that tells you that something dirty is going on.
That tells you, okay, these people are trying to cover up what they were doing. If they removed them, that means they took them completely out of that caseload. That means they redacted that file.
Listen, the only way you can keep a secret is to make sure there's only one person left, man. That's the only way you keep a secret.
One person can keep a secret.
That's right.
Yep.
You guys see what Ruth is writing up here? She said earlier she worked in a children's hospital that had tunnels going under it, and on that there was CPS offices in each floor, now locked to all employees. And she says, rumor has it they're checking the DNA of the parents.
I don't doubt her. I don't know Ruth, and she may or may not have credibility. I give her the benefit of the doubt, but I do not doubt her. For Ruth, I don't doubt you for 1 second, because the enemy is deep and nefarious, and always trying to incur upon us, and especially if they could have information of any sort, including DNA, they would certainly take the opportunity to grab that. Yes, makes perfect sense.
That's why I always did my test on my own. And my files are secure. They can't enter my files. I made sure of that.
Until they did.
Until they got into my.
So what do we do? Where do we go? So obviously it's about this. It's about education, right? So Dana, spill it, man. Tell people what they don't have to do.
Well, you and I talked about this just to give America, a hint of where Darren's going with this, because he and I were having a conversation earlier before we started the stream about this issue, and the first and most important thing you can remember is that you are a constitutional American. You have rights. Those rights are inalienable, provided to you by your creator. And when any law enforcement, or especially agents, any agent comes against you and starts asking questions, giving you orders, demanding explanations from you, you turn that around immediately and you say, number one, who are you? You'd be surprised about this question, right? Who are you? Well, let's say there's a police officer from your local police department comes to your door and knocks on the door. You'd feel silly saying, who are you, wouldn't you? But you'd be surprised, okay? First of all, if they are interacting with you, they owe you their name. And if you ask, their badge number. And if they are constitutional peace officers, they will give you that without hesitation and harassment. Who are you? And when an agent's on your door, this is especially effective because, again, they have no authority. Who are you? Who are you? Well, I'm Agent so-and-so with the Department of blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know you, and I don't owe you any answers. I don't owe you any explanations. You want to know who I am? Well, I'm a living, breathing son of God or daughter of God, and I am a constitutional American. And that's how you start that conversation. They have no right to come to you and ask you questions and demand answers from you. That's the stance you need to take. I had a friend, we disagreed on this issue, and she said something in my Facebook page about how when a police officer says jump, I say how high. And I say, well, that's completely un-American. Completely un-American. Okay?
I don't jump when the police officers approach me.
They don't have any authority over you unless you've committed a crime. Even then, it's arguable, but let's pretend for a moment they do, because I'll share something with you, America, right now. Here's a truth. This is absolute truth. You can verify this. Police officers are policy enforcers, and they talk about their policy, don't they? When you see an American being assaulted by these people in uniform, what happens? They say, well, we'll review our policy. Well, as constitutional Americans, we say we don't give a rat's ass about your policy. What we care about is the Constitution. Did you violate it? Did you have a right to taser that guy just because he refused to get out of his seat at the freaking sporting event? No, no, it's an assault. It's a violent assault upon an American who is gifted by his creator with these inalienable rights. So you never give them authority. Never give them what they request or demand. Tell them to prove it. If you have a right to be here, if you have authority, then you should be able to prove it. And if you can't, it means you don't fucking have it.
That's right.
And make them appreciate the fact that they can't just say, do this, do this, do this, and I say so, and by orders. By whose orders? By what authority? Number one, by what authority do you come against me? Do you demand answers? Don't ever let them do something just because they threaten that they could get a warrant. Well, I could get a warrant. I'd like to search your car. Do I have your permission to search your car? America, no. No. Period. And I'm not anti-law enforcement, but I am very pro-Constitution. And the reason why we are in so much trouble is because we allow these people to walk over us and do whatever they want. Elected servants, police officers, authorities, agents especially. Agents have no authority. Prove me wrong. They don't. So we don't submit. We don't give them the time of day. And if they come in and they're yammering and asking questions or whatever, unless you want to engage them, which I do because I enjoy it. But other than that, don't do it. Tell them, get off my property. I have nothing to say to you. You have nothing to lose by doing that. And you have everything to lose by cooperating with them, because they will always use what you say against you. That's how people get their children taken away. Am I right, Darren?
That's it, man. You talk too much. Shut your mouth. Period. Shut your mouth. That's it. You give them all of the answers that they need. Don't tell them that you're normal. Don't tell them that you did drugs 20 years ago and you're a recovering person. Don't tell them that you used to drink and you go to Alcoholics Anonymous. Don't tell them any of that.
Don't tell them anything, because it can't help you, and they will use it against you. So, Vinny, I think you were going to address this comment in the...
Yeah, what to do, they straight up take your children straight from the hospital following birth over the legal prescribed medication in the baby system.
This is a very good question, and unfortunately, this is the kind of worst case scenario, really. When you're in a hospital, you are besieged by these so-called healthcare professionals who claim an absolutely astounding knowledge of so-called medical care. They know what's best for you. They know what's best for your baby. They are very pushy with their shots and ointments and the general attitude of that they own you. Think about, they claim that, they're installing these security systems because they want to make sure that people don't steal babies, which unfortunately has happened. But at the same time, you are virtually a prisoner now. Your baby has a little bracelet on and you can't get out the door with your own child because it will set up an alarm. You have to ask basically their permission. So what they're doing here is they're assuming authority over you that they don't have. They simply don't have. And so the first and most important thing is that you take that attitude with them immediately when they begin trying to tell you what to do or in any way coerce you, and that you insist that you will do what you want because they don't have the authority to tell you that you must do any particular thing. And if at any point anyone says anything to the effect that they are going to take your child, first of all, do not use the enemy's terminology. They don't take your child, they kidnap your child. So you look them right in the eye and you say, so you're threatening to kidnap my child. Make that your vocabulary, your words, because words have great power. So this is the first step, is you let them know that this is my child and you have no authority to kidnap my child. Now, this is not a guarantee that you will prevail in this conflict, unfortunately. There are power mongers and tyrants that are so flagrant that they will just simply ignore you. And they will, unfortunately, if it comes to a physical style confrontation of any sort, they will kidnap your child right in front of you. And your choice would be then to, and I'm going to say this for the record, I never advocate for violence except used in self-defense. And if someone's trying to kidnap my child, I have every right to be violent to keep them from doing so. But unfortunately, you'll end up injured or dead and arrested and charged with all sorts of heinous crimes that you really didn't commit, that aren't backed in fact and law. And it's a sad reality. That's the tyranny that we face. But the best thing I can give you, Kimberly, is to start out with a very strong declaration, verbal declaration. Words have power. Tell them in no uncertain terms, that is my child. If you take that child away from me, you are kidnapping my child. I, as the parent, have authority over my child. I, as the parent, dictate what is best for my child. You have no authority. And if you're loud and strong, you weed out 90% of the villains because they don't have the stomach to confront you with a truthful declaration. Unfortunately, 1 in 10 does. They'll ignore you. They'll say stupid stuff to you like, well, I have the authority of the state of XYZ and the Department of Human Services, and I am dictating what is the best interest of this child. And but they don't dispute what you say. They just do what they want anyway. That's tyranny 101. So the more awareness we bring to the issue, the more we unite as parents across America on the issue that they don't have that authority, and that collectively we take that awareness and we harness it into action, and we say to these people, we are aware of what you're doing and we object to it, and we think you're kidnapping, and we're going to prove it, and we're going to hold you accountable by literally charging you with kidnapping, and your asses will be in jail. And then everyone's going to see, all of America is going to see, and all of America is going to be behind us, because they're going to say, you deserve to be charged with kidnapping, and you deserve to be thrown in jail. And we're thrilled that it's happening, and it's going to stop, because all those agents out there are going to see that the result of you doing this is very serious consequence.
It is coming down the line really quick.
Sorry for my rant. Go ahead.
Thank you. Love it. We love that.
Love it. I'm enjoying you going on about that.
Thanks, man.
That was, you know,
people are always like, "Why are you angry, Dana?" You know why I'm angry? I'm angry because people are stealing children from their parents. Is it reasonable that I should be angry about that? Are you angry about it? What? Why would you not be angry about this? Why would you sit there and say, well, you know, our government knows what's best for our children?
Yeah, right. Of course. Why wouldn't they?
Kim, I'm going to be hosting a show later on tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's called the Vinny edition of CPS Victims Hunting for Justice. So if you want to come on and share your story, I'm going to have another person on to share her story, I think, tonight too. Lady P, I think, is going to try to join the show tonight. So I'm trying to get everyone together, and maybe we can have a interesting conversation about some of you guys' cases and what you've got going on.
I appreciate the invite. I'm pre-committed myself tonight for at 8 o'clock. I'm actually being joined by a man named Dr. Douglas Frank, who's been studying election integrity issues in America, and it's a very, very powerful truth and analysis, and a deep trove of analysis in virtually every state in America. So I'm super excited to get him on a podcast.
You should, you should link onto our channel, Dana. You should link the show onto our channel.
Let's talk about that after the cast, brother.
Yeah,
I'm happy to help you out, throw in. I mean, this is how we win, folks. All of us together. You know, divorce yourself from your ego and your brand, and just ask yourself, you know, do you want results? Do you want our constitutional republic safe? Do you want your children to be stolen from you by, you know, people calling themselves agents? Do you want to give authority to our government to tell you that you are or are not allowed to have your own child? I don't, and I don't think the rest of you do either. I can't imagine it. And again, even if they had proven themselves successful at this, which they haven't, they've been pitifully inadequate at it, and stolen children from loving families and allowed children who were being beaten to be beaten to death. Come on, America.
Not
At
only
the name,
that,
and at the name of, they don't want to sell those kids. That's it. That's the only reason these kids weren't helped. They didn't fit the criteria to adopt.
Yep.
That's why those kids died.
Yep.
That's the sad truth.
Yeah, it's the even worse part of all this, which, you know, there's news coverage all about Diddy and what's going on there.
Yep.
You look at one of the cast of one of the movies out there, and she changed, like the girl from New Moon, the saga, Twilight Saga. If you go back and you look at all of her pictures to now, like, she's totally changed, and she hung out at those parties.
Okay, someone at my door. I got to go for one quick sec. I'll be right back.
Yes, sir.
So, like, you go back, and this is throughout time. This has happened for years, and they have allowed it to happen for years. And Maine,
1966, man.
Maine, let me tell you, people, Maine has failed completely. There is actually news reports out there on the fact that Maine has got the big fat F and is primed for corruption. We rank in the nation. We're at the top of the nation right now in corruption, and it runs deep in the state of Maine, right down from our governor all the way through, even state police and local.
Which one? I'm looking through your videos here, Vinny. I'm gonna put one up here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of videos I sent you, but there's some that are within Maine where it will blow your freaking mind.
Okay, here we go. Let's do this. Let's do this one right here, Vinny. We'll do the Bill Diamond one.
Yep.
Let's bring out Mr. Diamond, my man.
Kimberly, I never signed a safety plan either. Was never a part of it. Never contracted with them once. Because I was the smart one. Darren's figuring out the video, I think.
Your sentence for beating his 1-month-old son to death.
Aren't people just sick of this? I mean, having children die in Maine at the hands of people.
Let me start this over. I didn't realize it wasn't Sharon.
Family Services has been sued twice by federal agencies. A federal audit found they failed to comply with 94% of abuse investigations.
94% of
now,
abuse.
A former state senator and Secretary of State turned child advocate is raising new concerns. As Fox 23's Brad Rogers reports, according to Bill Diamond, foster parents in Maine say they're being mistreated, and frustrated caseworkers say they are overworked.
The culture there has always been, keep the curtain closed.
Bill Diamond says he's drawing back the curtain with inside information from clients, caseworkers, and foster parents who work for Child and Family Services.
We know that there's a lot of problems with kids being placed in domestic violence homes.
He says children are still being killed in Maine households despite the prior involvement of Child and Family Services caseworkers. Children like Silas Melvin, whose father is serving a 25-year sentence for beating his 1-month-old son to death.
Aren't people just sick of this? I mean, having children die in Maine at the hands of people who beat them to death?
I think they are, and the kind of response we're getting shows that.
Diamond told us there's only one way this will change.
I think Governor Mills could really put an end to this if she decided to speak up and say, this is done, enough is enough, and we're going to correct this. But until something changes, this is going to go on, and there's going to be excuse after excuse.
DHHS has adopted new recommendations to address challenges in child welfare, support the workforce, and improve outcomes for Maine children and families. In a statement, Director Bobby Johnson says together we can advance initiatives that not only protect children, but also empower and strengthen families because every child deserves nothing less.
What they're saying is, well, we're improving this now. We have new leadership. Really, you don't. You have the same leadership that's been there for all these years. I mean, that's a step backwards.
That's you, Bill Diamond.
Nonprofit and child and family
Yeah, that's Bobby Joe Johnson.
Common interest in improving the outcomes for Maine's most vulnerable children, and he's offered to work with the state agency to build a better system to serve the people of Maine. No response from DHHS to that offer.
Of course not.
Fox 12 News at 10.
There it is. That's just a little piece. 94%. 94% of their cases, they did not comply with the law. So what do we do with that, right?
Hardly shocking. Yeah, hardly shocking. So, I mean, we're doing it, brother. That's the thing. You know, people are slowly coming together. There was an age when you couldn't even breathe that maybe government agents weren't doing their jobs well. You know, think about that. Like not too long ago, if you told people that, you know, DHS was kidnapping children and, you know, wasn't doing their jobs, whatever, the people would have been like very skeptical of your claims. I think now everyone knows. I mean, not just that, you know, they're like openly admitting it on the media, but that they've either been affected or know someone who's been affected by it, you know. So awareness is step one, and we're there, and I'm happy about that, although still very, very angry at the agents and the government and all the people that went along with it that would sit by and watch Darren's child be stolen from him, kidnapped, and then go, well, he must be a bad guy. You know, he's a little scary looking. He's got those tattoos. You know, I heard he likes to drink. Must be a horrible person. God help that poor child. Never mind that Darren is a good, loving father who would do anything to protect his child just as much as any of us. You know, so awareness is there. The next step is action, and we're doing that. You know, uniting, talking about our strategies, presenting other people with this information so it's widespread, so everyone in Maine can see this is happening. We all know it, and we all decide we're fed up and we're going to do something about it. And then we start holding them accountable, communicating with them. And, you know, I've been an advocate of this for a long time. You write them letters, you send them emails, you say, we're not happy about this. We demand that something be done about it. We're going to be loud. We're not going to, you know, shut up and back down. And we're going to hold you accountable. And at the end of the day, the people that we elect to be our elected servants are going to be people that align themselves with us and our interests and do these things and purge the department and charge the people that have done this with criminal charges. That's where I stand.
They all should be. Every one of these agents, every one of these bosses, every one of these managers, they should all be charged for kidnapping. They should all, every one of these people that are involved in this should be charged with kidnapping. The facts of the matter that they just said right there blatantly was a 94%. 94% of their cases were not met by a lawful, done lawfully. So why are these cases not overturned? Why are we not getting our kids back?
Because our system is corrupt and our courts are corrupt, which I know you asked rhetorically, and I know you already know the answer, but I'm stating it for plainly and everyone in Maine and America and to God himself that that's the truth. The courts are corrupt. The judges are corrupt. The bar attorneys are mostly corrupt. Again, I've met a few good ones, okay? But most of them are corrupt. They're in it just for money, and they'll do what they're told by the Bar Association. So
and that's it. The bar's it.
We need to fix. We, the people, need to fix it. We let it happen. We need to fix it.
Makes me so freaking angry. So angry. You know,
right
but
there with you, brother.
That's that.
Believe me, I'm angry. People are always, oh, why are you angry? Why wouldn't you be angry? Are you in a coma? Do you not see what's going on around you? This is one of many issues that we, as Americans and as in every single state in this nation, need to be outraged about, demanding accountability. And I feel like we're almost there. I really do. I don't say that lightly because I'm not one to.
Well, people are definitely starting to not think that because your kids were taken by CPS that you're a bad person. That's the first thing. Changing the stigma that goes along with that tag.
Absolutely.
And that's what's happening. Like you're getting more and more. That's why I sell the apparel. That's why I do all of that stuff. Like we have these abolished CPS sweatshirts. Like we have all of this stuff that we sell. Like I sell to try to get people out there to try to say, hey, look, support your things. Make parenting great again, apparel.
Yeah.
Just something.
Yeah, be loud.
If you got a case with your kids that are involved in it right here, your property of my mom and dad. For your kids, like buy these shirts, get it out there, make it so that this is an actually known subject. Put this poster on your wall right there. Let them know that they're being recorded. If you read this poster, you're being warned. You've been warned. You're being recorded.
Absolutely.
Let these caseworkers know that you are recording them at all times.
Imperative.
All of this type of stuff. These are all your rights.
See, I don't know if you guys seen this either, but mental health advocates are calling for more work to be done after 34 years old court order overseeing Maine's mental health services was lifted this week.
Yeah, they just did that.
And they're demanding oversight on it.
They need oversight on everything. Anything that the government does deserves to have an oversight because that is us, the people's. They work for us. We are their bosses. And that's what oversight is supposed to do.
Well, I mean, we have the opportunity to do that. We, the people, are largely lazy, and I admit I'm there myself. It's a pain to have to constantly oversee them, especially when you hire them to do a job. You figure you hire a plumber, you send him downstairs, he's supposed to do his job and, give you a bill that's reasonable and, fix whatever's broken. Imagine if you had to be down there watching him and videotaping him constantly to make sure that he wasn't like deliberately putting holes in your pipes. That's where we are with our government.
Or better yet, here's another one. I mean, that no one probably heard or seen. Texas man sentenced for the sex torture of Maine children he met on Instagram.
I mean, not shocking, but shocking, but not. I'm not shocked that it's happening because I've unfortunately gone down that rabbit hole, and it's disturbing. It's very disturbing.
Yeah, that's it. You're right. Absolutely. Well, guys, I think we did a nice little startup here.
Something food for thought for Maine and America. Thanks for having me, Aaron. I really appreciate you, brother. I'm always here to support you.
I'm going to call you.
Glad to have you on the show. Definitely when you get a chance, check out my show tonight.
We'll be in touch, Vinny, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, make sure you check out Vinny's show tonight. Kimberly, email us. We'll get you a copy of the mandamus, and everybody else, check out Vinny tonight. I'll be back with Tiff tomorrow, and then this game on as usual. And make sure you email me lots of emails telling Dana that he needs to be on this show more often, please, and thank you. All right, guys. Have a good night, guys. We'll see you guys tonight at Vinny, 9 o'clock, 7:30. 7:30, Vinny.
7:30.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
In 1776, brave men put up a fight. Mowing down redcoats, they wanted freedom. They had to fight, and now we take the sacrifice in vain. They loaded their muskets, fired them one by one. That's why we have the freedom to own a gun, but we are blowing it. These freedoms were created by those before us. They were to be something that stays. But now things are so corrupted, they're taking our rights away. Hey, Uncle Sam, where did you go? I called Washington today, but nobody's home. We all want to stand for our freedom, but nobody wants to do it today. Can't you see time is a waste and the Constitution we love is fading? Make no tread on the reality, or the USA will be the next casualty. We are here for freedom, those we will protect. Unite for the values we cherish, but watch everything perish. Our men have fought for our freedoms, many women have too. Their blood spilled upon the ground, with the news many frown. They paid a price that many won't pay. Now we are letting the cause fade away. The graves are being neglected by the actions of so many deceptive. The freedoms they fought for in every world war, conflict or mission. So many stayed behind signing petitions, while those away dying were there to protect them. It's time to wake up in the USA. We are all slipping away into the darkness we once ran from. It's getting worse every day. Now they are taking our children more and more every day. No soldier ever fought for taking our children away. This is not why they bled for our freedom. They didn't die for some cheap pay. We all need to come together, fight this corruption, and it starts today. We need to wake up America, go back to parades, remember true family values, laugh again as children play. These are the things we fought for, 200 years strong, but now we're losing all of this. Don't tread on me does exist. So rise up and be strong. We don't have to go along. We need to push back now, like our forefathers did. It's time to bring back the way it was, when families lived together, all that mattered was love. It's not always easy to take back what they have grabbed. With all of us together we can do it, two loving children and mom and dad. This is our country, it's called USA. So many have fallen, say don't tread on me today.
Imagine being a child who has been torn away from their security blanket, their parents, the ones who stopped the boogeyman from terrorizing the nights and curing their boo-boos when they scrape their knees. Now just imagine how they might'st feel when the CPS meant to protect them tears them away from their supposed abusers and places them with strangers who have zero comforting skills. They need to be calmed. They are confused, lost, panicked, and needing their parents, but CPS took them away for the purpose of saving them. The kids don't even know why, and they are told that the parents they attach to no longer want them. What do you think that does? Do you think that this is how protecting children is supposed to look? Abolish CPS.